It's problematic because, again, it was always a part of our history. It was always a part of our culture. It was something that got stripped from us. So we were told to be boss babes, to be out here working, getting in the bag at the expense of our homes. Do you see how we were fed so many lies that didn't help us? It didn't help our community. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Samantha, and on today's video, we are going to talk about the idea that homemaking has always been in the Black and brown culture. So recently I was on social media and there was a viral or trending audio that was going around, and it was essentially talking about white women coming into bread making, but specifically sourdough. And there was a Black or brown sister that was essentially remixing the video, and she was talking about how it's interesting that anytime we talk about homemaking or homesteading or homeschooling or anything dealing with the home, right, we never see representation. It's always associated with a white or European woman. And I so resonated with her thoughts on many levels, right? So I remember years ago when I started my journey of really digging into biblical womanhood and homemaking and homeschooling and all things home, even modesty. I remember going to Pinterest and I remember going to Google, and I did not see anybody that looked like me. In order for me to find women that looked like me, I had to type in Black homemaking, Black homesteading, Black blah, 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 blah. Like whatever it is, I always had to specify the color of representation that I was looking for, because for some reason, what was out there was primarily women that didn't look like me. And I thought it was so interesting, like even modesty, Black modesty, to be able to see women that were dressed modest, I had to type in a color. And I think it's so interesting because historically, what we know is that homemaking and Black and brown women being in the home was always in our culture. It was always in our culture, y'all. Like when we really go back and we really look at our history, I think especially nowadays, all we see is, you know, the boss babe and, you know, women that are out here working and in corporate and doing all of the big things. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, especially if the father's called you to it, like whatever. I'm not getting into arguments about that, right? But I do think it's interesting that homemaking, anything dealing with the home, is where we thrived historically. It's where we thrived. And it wasn't until outside communities came into our community to say, hey, let's fight for the right to work, right? Join our movement and let's fight together, right? And when I think about that, I'm specifically speaking to like that women's empowerment, that feminist movement that pulled in Black and brown women into a movement that respectfully had nothing to do with us. And I say that because when we look at our history, we never had to fight for the right to work as Black and brown women. We were out there in the fields with our men working. We didn't need to fight for it. We were just simply, as Black and brown people, fighting for the right to be human, to be treated as human. And so an outside culture came in and said, hey, this is an issue in our community and it's an issue in your community, so let's fight together. Right. And it makes me think about, and I don't know if anybody remembers this or has had this experience where you go to someone else's house, right, and they do things a little different there. And then you come back home and you try to do it at your mama's house and your mama looking at you like, I don't care what Susie and Bobby and Tommy and all of them do at their house, but we don't do that at our house. So leave that over there. It's the same concept in a sense of that's not our fight. Yeah, we have a fight, but our fight is just to be seen as human, to be treated with dignity and respect. We don't need to fight for the right to work. So this outside movement agenda came in, right, and pulled on us to fight for a movement that we didn't need to fight for. And not only were we fighting for a movement that we didn't need to fight for, but it caused divide in our own homes and in our community, because now it's causing odds between the Black man and the Black woman, or the brown man and the brown woman. However you want to see it, melanated, I don't care. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? It caused divide in our home. Because again, we've taken on issues that didn't have anything to do with us. And so this whole idea of bread making and homemaking and homesteading and all things home only being represented of other cultures, and you really having to seek and find our own culture and representation, to me is problematic. It's problematic because, again, it was always a part of our history. It was always a part of our culture. It was something that got stripped from us. And this is why I love today seeing so many Black and brown women that are saying, hey, I want to homeschool. Hey, I want to be a stay-at-home mom. Hey, I want to homemake, or I want to learn, or even if I'm not leaving my 9 to 5, right? This isn't a video about whether you need to leave your 9 to 5 or should you be home full time or whatever the case is. That's not what this is about, right? But what I do love seeing is I love seeing Black and brown women, Black and brown men that are waking up and saying, hey, we need to strengthen our homes again. We need to strengthen our communities. All these other issues that we done picked up that had nothing to do with us, let's put that down. Let's come back together, right? Because that's how we were created in Genesis. We were created as one. We weren't created as a divided force. We were unified, right? So I love seeing people come back together to say, you know what? Let's reestablish the very things that were stripped from us. Let's recultivate that, because there's strength in understanding your culture. There's strength in understanding your history. There's strength in bringing back the very things that strengthened our communities at one point. And it's interesting because we were told that submitting to our men was oppressive. So we divided against our men. And when we look at our culture nowadays, that's the very thing that's hurting us, is a lot of us are walking around without a covering. Daddies ain't in position, brothers ain't in position, men ain't in position, right? Like there's just no covering, especially in the Black and brown community. We were told that we needed to be boss babes. We needed to be out here working, getting the bag. And if you make your money, I'm not coming against you, right? Like I'm not coming at anybody that chooses to make money to contribute to their household. But what is problematic is when we are making money and we are doing all of these things at the expense of our household, at the expense of our home, to where there's a void in our home and our children don't have mamas. Our children don't have that gatekeeper, that nurturer that they need to be there to cover them and to guide them and to protect them from the things of this world. That's when it becomes problematic. So we were told to be boss babes, to be out here working, getting in the bag at the expense of our homes. Do you see how we were fed so many lies that didn't help us? It didn't help our community. If we really look at the numbers, our community is in different ways, it's worse off than it was historically. We have less men present. We have more divorces present. We have more single mothers present. The mental health rates in the Black and brown community, especially amongst our children, it's through the roof. And my hope is that we understand that, again, homemaking, homesteading, all of those things, it was always in our culture. It was always in our culture. Black and brown women were always of our homes, to the point where we were taken out of our homes to help build somebody else's home. Let's be real about it. We were taken from our homes to build someone else's home. That's how effective we were in our homes. That's how effective the home was. That's how effective the Black and brown woman being in the home was, to the point where we were taken from ours to help somebody else. So my hope of this video is that we can understand that it's not a European thing. No, it was always in our culture. And we really have to unlearn the ways of the world and culture and society and what we have been taught to really get back to embracing the very things that once helped us. Our men being in the home once helped us. Children growing up with mama and daddy once helped us. Women being in the home once helped us. There being community, nobody raising children alone once helped us. Your child was my child was your child, once helped us. Nowadays, you can't say nothing to nobody's child. You can't say nothing to nobody's child, because that's my child. When at one point it wasn't like that. If my child was down the street acting a fool, Miss Marcy, whoever it is, Miss Gracie down the street, she had every right to grab my child up and bring them home. Because she knew how they was acting out there, their mama and daddy would not approve of it. Nowadays, you can't do that. We have really lost the sense of home and community, y'all. But that's not something that was foreign to us. That was our culture. Stop letting people lie to you and make you think that's not a Black and brown thing like I once thought. It very much is. It very much is. And it's the very thing that can help restore our homes. It can help restore our children. It can help restore our communities. Homemaking, homesteading, home, like all the things home. The home was always in our culture. It was always in our culture.